fighting in Arctic, it's as operational environment, it's quite unique and very challenging in many ways compared to the troops that are trained and used to operate in the Central Europe or wherever. Coming to above Arctic Circle is different because the lighting is totally different. The summer times is the endless day. It's really doesn't get very dark, and then in winter time you don't see sun for months. So that makes it special. The climate is challenging in winter time, especially. The temperatures can go down to -40. You have a lot of snow. You can have blizzards. You have forest, and there are different zones too. In the southern part of the Arctic region, you have a lot of forest. You go more up north, it comes more barren. You have high hills with no cover at all for miles. But generally, moving is difficult. There's a lot of rocks. There's swamps. There are forests. The movement, especially in summertime, is channeling along the roads, and road network there is quite sparse. The infrastructure is not that developed, so makes movement in summertime quite demanding. In the wintertime, it's easier because when the lakes and the rivers and especially the swamps freeze and you have snow coverage, then with all-terrain vehicles, tracked all-terrain vehicles, and for example, the Russian MTLB APC armed personnel carriers move quite nicely. Equipment is number one. You have to have a special equipment for those conditions. It's not, and it's a whole training regime which you have to give to the troops, and we train our troops up north so that and even just a basic infantryman, basic artilleryman, they give this winter survival training so that they know how to survive there in the cold. Starting from what kind of gear you use, how to clothe. It's all about layers. It's not, and it's interesting if you look French Alpine forces who work in the snow and their equipment and compare it to our equipment, it's totally different, and they don't mix. Attacking in the wintertime is totally different with skis than doing it in the summertime. So all that then have to be trained and practiced. If you attack, we do it by skis. I know that the Americans like snowshoes. That's it's you want to maneuver. We train our troops for maneuver warfare, and with snowshoes you are freaking slow and you get tired, especially if you have your full combat gear and everything. With skis, and they have to be special kind of skis. With skis, you can move much faster and maneuver. Find the weak spots in the enemy lines or go around them and to encircle them. Putting the skis on or putting them off is seconds.
Okay.
I've seen the American doing it in Alaska. It's like a fun, freaking 2-minute project to put the skis on. That's stupid. We have a very simple, very effective way to do it, so that you can get on and off in seconds. Because in combat, that's very important. But most of the front line was actually that you had these platoon bases every, I don't know, 5 to 10 kilometers. You digged out, you made a platoon base, 360 the defense, and then the troops just patrolled between the bases, so that then if you notice that okay, somebody has crossed the front line, then you had reserves and you started to hunt them down. Well, the normal platoon base, yes, you just well, in the Second World War, and I suppose we will do the same. You have a trench going 360 around and then from that trench you have fighting positions. We don't normally fight from like you see in Ukraine. They have a long zigzag trench and the guys are fighting from those trenches. No, we don't like to do that. From the trench you build up fighting positions for two fighters, so that and they are covering each other so that you have fields of fire covering each other, so that anybody attacking it will be shot from different directions, and they are better protected and they form individual targets again, and that's out of its own how to do medical services up north, because you have to keep people warm. The first of thing, you don't want to patch up somebody and then he freezes to death while trying to get him to safety. So you have to have special equipment how to keep the wounded warm, how to keep your plasma warm, all that stuff. We don't have any problems with Norwegians and Swedes. They are used to fight. They have right equipment. They practice there all the time like we do. They know the business. Uh, the possible possible reinforcement from the United States and UK, that's a different story. The United States don't have too many Arctic forces. They have 2 brigades in Alaska, and that's about that. Uh, United States, actually during the Trump's first administration, when General Mattis was the Secretary of Defense, he gave orders to make Arctic strategy for Pentagon, and then the services did their own. And one thing was that they recognized that they have to increase their pool of Arctic capable forces. So now that, for example, we have had, after joining the NATO, we've had constantly British and especially American troops practicing up north. And the idea is that you uh, rotate these forces. We don't have any plans to have standing NATO forces in Finland. That's our view, is that you have to have troops trained for that, especially in winter time. If you don't have, you send troops which are not trained and equipped for that, they will be more a burden than a support to you. Just keeping them alive would require our force, and we don't want to do that. We want to have people who know what they're doing there. And it is very demanding environment. My friend General Välimäki, who is the commander of the Finnish Army now, he had one British and one American division commander visiting one of our exercises, and the general said that, well, this is a terrible place to wage a war. Terrain is terrible, the climate is terrible, and our guys were like, well, if you're used to it, it's not a problem, but you have to be trained and equipped for that. I'm not too worried about Russians, because they're not stupid, and they are, a term we say in Finland, mummonpotkija, which means grandmother kicker. Guy who don't dare to face somebody his size, so he kicks old ladies. And Russia don't want to hit its head on a rock. They know that we are well prepared. They know by history that we are a freaking difficult country to attack, because of the geography, because of the climate, because of that we are used to fight here. So if they would decide to make operation up north, I'm sure that in the Finnish Defense Command they would pop bottles of champagne. That great. The idiots do the same mistake third time in a row. Let's now go there, encircle them and kill them, as we did the last 2 times. But again, you have to remember one thing. You have to. I always say that never ever underestimate Russians, because there's one thing where they are best in the world, and their capability to take losses is best in the world. They can sacrifice huge, as we see in Ukraine, they can sacrifice huge amount of troops just for diversion, and they are also a bit obnoxious, and I know that Russian military, old generation Russian military, uh, respected the challenges fighting against Finland. The new generation might think that, well, because they are listening to the governmental propaganda, which is all the same story. The Westerners are spineless homosexuals who can't fight anything. We've been fighting for 3 years in Ukraine against the whole NATO. We are the real warriors. We are we eat iron and shit chain, blah blah blah, and they believe that. So they might be stupid enough to try something.
Mm.
You know, you never.
You never know.
Even
Yeah.
as a diversion, they something. Yeah, you never know. So you never underestimate they capability to do stupid things and their capability to do big sacrifices.